Have you ever delayed something that truly mattered because you believed there would always be another day? Have you ever said, "I'll call tomorrow, I'll start next week, or I'll learn when life becomes easier"? Most people don't lose their dreams in a single moment. They lose them one tomorrow at a time. And sometimes the tomorrow they were waiting for never arrives. Stay with me, because this timeless story may change the way you look at today forever. My name is Jopha, and today I want to share a timeless story about time, patience, and the quiet danger of waiting too long. Long ago, in a peaceful village surrounded by green hills and flowing streams, stood a small wooden workshop. Day and night, the gentle sound of ticking clocks drifted through its open windows. The workshop belonged to an elderly clockmaker named Elias, whose hands had repaired timepieces for more than 50 years. People traveled from distant villages to seek his help. Some brought simple kitchen clocks, while others carried precious family heirlooms that had stopped ticking generations earlier. No matter how old or broken they were, Elias treated every clock with the same care. Across the village lived a young orphan named Rowan. He had grown up with very little except determination. Each day he earned a few coins by carrying firewood, tending gardens, and helping farmers. But every afternoon he found himself standing outside the old workshop. To Rowan, the shelves filled with brass gears and polished clocks looked like another world. He dreamed of becoming a clockmaker, not for wealth, but because he believed fixing clocks meant giving people back something they thought was lost. One autumn afternoon, he finally gathered enough courage to knock on the blue wooden door. "Master Elias," he asked softly, "will you teach me your craft?" The old man smiled warmly. "Come back tomorrow." Rowan left with hope burning inside him. He returned the next morning before sunrise. Elias welcomed him with the same kind smile. But again, his answer was simple: tomorrow. Rowan came back the following week, then the next. Before long, the seasons began changing while the answer remained the same. Spring flowers bloomed beside the workshop. Summer sunlight warmed its wooden walls. Autumn leaves gathered beneath the windows. Winter snow covered the roof. Yet Rowan never stopped knocking. Instead of sending him away completely, Elias allowed him to remain outside while he worked. Rowan swept the front steps, carried water from the village well, stacked firewood near the door, and quietly watched through the open window. Hour after hour, he observed every careful movement. He noticed that Elias always listened to a clock before opening it. He watched how the old man placed each tiny gear in perfect order. Sometimes Elias closed his eyes just to hear the faintest rhythm inside a broken watch. Rowan thought he was simply waiting. He never realized he was learning. Many villagers shook their heads. "You're wasting your youth," one farmer laughed. "You've waited long enough," another said. But Rowan ignored them. Something about the old man's gentle eyes made him believe there was still a reason to return. One afternoon, Rowan watched Elias repair a beautiful silver pocket watch. After hours of careful work, the mechanism began ticking perfectly again. But instead of attaching its hands, Elias placed it on a nearby shelf beside several other unfinished clocks. "Why leave it unfinished?" Rowan asked. Elias looked at the silent clock. A clock without hands reminds us that time exists even when we stop looking at it. Rowan didn't fully understand, but the image stayed with him. As the years passed, the shelf slowly filled with clocks that worked perfectly inside, yet showed no time at all. One day, A traveling merchant passed through the village carrying a large glass hourglass. While crossing the marketplace, he stumbled, and the hourglass shattered across the stones. Golden sand scattered everywhere. Most people simply walked away. Elias knelt beside the broken glass and gently picked up a single grain of sand. He placed it into Rowan's hand. "Can you return it to where it was?" Rowan looked at the tiny grain. "No." Elias nodded. "Neither can anyone return a moment once it has passed." Then he quietly continued walking. The lesson lasted only a few seconds, yet Rowan thought about it for many nights. Another spring arrived. Beside the workshop wall, a small tree struggled to grow between two stones. While larger plants nearby withered in the summer heat, Elias carried a bucket of water every evening to nourish only that little tree. Rowan finally asked why. The old man smiled. "Everything strong begins while it is still small." Year after year, the tiny tree reached higher toward the sky until its branches stretched over the workshop roof. Rowan admired the tree, but still wished Elias would simply begin teaching him. Time continued its quiet journey. Elias's hair grew whiter. His shoulders bent lower. His hands, once perfectly steady, now trembled ever so slightly whenever he held the smallest gears. One evening, Rowan noticed the trembling clearly. "You should rest," he said with concern. Elias smiled. "There is still work to do." He finished repairing another old clock, but once again placed it on the unfinished shelf. As Rowan watched him, an uneasy feeling settled deep inside his heart. For the first time, he wondered how many tomorrows either of them truly had. The next morning, Rowan hurried toward the workshop before sunrise. The blue door remained closed. No smoke rose from the chimney. The familiar ticking had disappeared. Neighbors slowly gathered outside, their faces heavy with sadness. Then the village priest quietly spoke. "Master Elias passed away during the night." The words echoed through Rowan's heart. He pushed open the workshop door. Silence filled the room. Dozens of unfinished clocks rested across the benches, exactly where Elias had left them. Tiny tools remained neatly arranged. Dust drifted through beams of morning light. The room felt as though time itself had stopped. Rowan sank to his knees. "I waited too long," he whispered. "I thought there would always be tomorrow." Hours passed before he found the strength to stand again. As he gently cleaned the workbench, he noticed an old leather notebook tucked beneath it. Its pages were filled with careful drawings of gears, springs, and delicate mechanisms. Every sketch was detailed enough for an apprentice to understand. Rowan slowly turned the pages. Beside one drawing, Elias had written, "The boy already sees more than he knows. Every day he watches, every day he learns." Another page read, "My hands grow weaker with each passing winter. Soon they will not be steady enough to guide another pair of hands, so I must first teach his eyes. Hands follow where the eyes have learned to see." Tears rolled down Rowan's face. All those afternoons by the window, all those quiet moments, none of them had been wasted. The final page held one folded note. He opened it carefully. It read, "The greatest clock I wanted you to repair was never on this table. It was the one inside your life." At that moment, everything became clear. The unfinished clocks, the broken hourglass, the growing tree. Every lesson had been about time, not machinery. Elias had known his own time was running short. He had not delayed teaching. He had simply chosen to teach in the only way he still could. The next morning, Rowan faced a difficult choice. He could close the workshop forever and spend his life grieving, or he could begin. He picked up one unfinished clock. His hands trembled. He carefully reached for a tiny spring. Without realizing it, he tilted it exactly as Elias always had. He listened to the movement before opening the case, just as the old man had done hundreds of times. He arranged every gear in the same careful order he had watched through the window for years. Suddenly, Rowan smiled through his tears. He had been learning every single day. His first repair failed, then another, and another, but he refused to stop. Weeks turned into months. Months became years. Every mistake became another lesson. Little by little, the workshop came alive again, with the gentle sound of ticking clocks. One afternoon, an elderly woman entered carrying her late husband's pocket watch. "It stopped the day he passed away," she whispered. "I've kept it ever since." Rowan worked patiently until the tiny heartbeat returned. Tick, tick, tick. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't just repair a clock," she said softly. "You gave me back a memory." Only then did Rowan fully understand Elias's life's work. A clockmaker never truly repaired machines. He protected moments. Years later, children often gathered outside Rowan's workshop, their faces filled with curiosity. One nervous boy finally asked, "Will you teach me?" Rowan looked toward the tall tree beside the workshop, now strong enough to cast shade across the entire doorway. He smiled, opened the door wide, and said, "Come inside. We begin today." The workshop echoed once more with the sounds of learning, laughter, and ticking clocks. No child was ever asked to wait for tomorrow, because Rowan had learned the lesson that changed his life forever. Tomorrow is a hope. Today is the only gift we truly hold.
Think about your own life. Maybe you've been waiting to start a business, repair a broken relationship, learn a new skill, improve your health, or simply spend more time with someone you love. We often believe there will always be another chance. But life doesn't promise another tomorrow. The smallest step you take today can become the moment that changes everything. If you enjoy meaningful stories that stay with you long after they end, don't forget to subscribe and join me for more timeless journeys. Now I'd love to hear from you. What is one important thing you've been putting off that you'll choose to begin today?